So you're welcome back. To work on that particular sample e-commerce brief, right? The first thing that you want to start with is on the UX part, right? So now this is an introductory course to UI UX design or product design. So we are not going to be treating everything, every look and cranny of product design, right? Basically, so I'll just quickly go through the UX part. So as a UI UX designer, the first thing, once you have a brief, the first thing you want to work on is the user experience. And the user experience include a lot of stuff. So I will show you some of the things we've done on that particular brief on that user experience. For example, you detailed out all the core features, you come up with a survey question, know your target audience, come up with a survey question so that you can actually carry out a research. So you prepare a Google form, you ask people to fill that particular form for you. Like what we did here, we conducted a qualitative research. So we did a qualitative research, ask question, get some data, right? And we use that particular data to come up with what our objective, our survey. So you could see that here, this is our research objective, our hypothesis, the method of our research, the survey question, what we asked during the survey questions. And these are the user personas that we came up with, persona for John, persona for Jane as well, persona for, we also came up with empathy map. So what the user says, think, does, feel. So these are all part of the user experience. We also come up with a competitive analysis, right? Comparing quick buy. So quick buy is the e-commerce project that we're working on. So we compare that with Konga, we compare that with Jumia. So that's some competitive analysis being done there. We also did what we call user story as well. Then we also did what we call journey map. Then after that as well, the next that we worked on again is the site information architecture, right? So work on the information architecture. We'll also work on the user flow, right? So work on the user flow both for the web and the mobile flow. We also work on what we call task flows too as well. So all of these things are the things that we did to actually come up with the UX. Now for the UI, now we started designing. So for the designing now, you actually have so many things that you want to design. The first thing that you also want to design is something that is called design system. So for the design system, we started with coming up with an amazing design system. For example, talking about the colors. So we went through color theory, came up with different color, primary color, our neutral colors or gray colors, our successful colors. So we call these contextual colors, where green stands for success, red for error, yellow for warning, and blue for info. We also came up with typography, and right here on this project, we decided to use the urbanist typeface, right? So we also spoke on spacing, layouts, icons, iconography. We also spoke on different grid layouts for responsive design. So these are the things that we've done, right? We also went on to treat highly on components. We treated button components, form components, and different component that is going to make up this particular design. So we went on to also treat wireframe, as you can see, right? We've also designed wireframe for the how the wireframe is going to look like for the web application, and you can see all the wireframe is on grayscale, right? So we designed all of this together as well. So we now went on to design the web mockup. So now, why am I showing you guys this without actually really just like designing it, right? That is because this is an introductory course. Now, if you want to learn the major course, we have a course where we treated all of this in depth, and that course runs for about 6 months of intensive learning and 6 months of mentorship, right? So if you want something like that, you can choose to actually go for that particular course. Now, for the sake of this introductory course, we are going to be designing just this particular hero page, right? And that is what I'm going to be doing right now. So I'm going to basically try my best to actually redesign this particular hero page for us, right? So that is what we are going to be doing. So if I come over here right now, this is the design that we'll be having in this particular video. So let's see how we can actually design this, right? So this is just to let you guys know that so many things inclusive in the brief web and mobile application. We are not going to cover everything up in this particular course, but we're just going to focus on designing this particular hero, and I hope that one actually really serve. Now if you go down to the next page here, you could see now that we'll also work on the mobile app application. So we design everything concerning the mobile application too as well. So now let's go back and let's start designing. So I will come back here and I will create a new page so we can actually design this, right? So I'll click this now. All right, so all you need to do to be here with me is to go on your Figma. So just in case you don't know how to get to Figma and you wonder, Samuel, how did you get to Figma? What is this? Blah, blah. So let me quickly show you. So you want to go on your browser and you want to type figma.com. So that's how it is, figma.com. So once you go to figma.com, you can easily create your account. So I'll go to figma.com right now. And once I'm here, I should be able to create my account. So for me, I already have an account. So, but for you, you click on continue with Google to create an account, or you can actually just no account, you can just create one. So anyone that you want to use, right? For me, I already have an account, so I'll just say continue with Google. So if I say continue with Google, I already have an account with this, so I can just select any of the names that I have that I feel like. So I'll select any of my email address and it will authenticate me right now, and it will bring me down to Figma. Right, so this is it now. It's taking me to the Figma. That is because I already have an account. So for you now, all you just need to do is create a free account and it will bring you down to something like this. Now you might not have like several designs here. Yours might be empty, right? So the good thing is that you're going to see this blue icon here, this blue button here saying design file, and you're also going to see this one there, FigJam board. So this FigJam board takes you to FigJam, while this one takes you to this design file. So the first thing that you also want to do is to click on design file. So once you click on design file, it will ask you what theme do you want to put it, right? You can just say draft, right? So I want to just put that on a draft so that I can just design something easily. So once you put that on a draft, you're going to see it's going to say there is a draft here, blah blah, and you can give that a title. So you can give that a title, say intro to UI UX, right? So once you have intro to UI UX, then you can actually do your design here. Now, this is the Figma interface, and I will quickly start my design, right? So everything that you want to learn about Figma is actually here, and this is the tool that you're going to be using for UI design. Now, mind you, remember what I showed you guys previously are all UX design. Now, what we're trying to do now is a little bit about UI design, and all of the buttons that you need for UX design is all here, right? So you see your tags here, you see all your design files in here, and we are just going to quickly design this shortly. All right, for you to design your text, you need to come up with a frame. So click here, and once you click on frame here, you're going to see several frames. So let's go down a little bit, and once you click on desktop, you should be able to see this desktop frame here that is showing you 1440 by 1024. So you click on that. So once you click on that, you have your desktop frame here. So this is the page you are designing, right? So let us call this one product detail, right? So you can rename it here, product details. So to rename it is easy. You can rename it from here, or you can rename it from here. Just double click on it. You should be able to rename it. And if I select it again, I'm going to see the size. The width is 1440. The height is, so the height does not really matter. I can actually just like stretch the height as I like. So what I'm more concerned about is the width. So the first thing I'm going to do is to set up my layout grid, right? So of course, this is an introductory course to UX design, so I'll be a little bit fast. So I'll not be covering everything slowly and take my time, but this is me just giving you guys an idea and to see if it's something that you would love to like spend a lot of time in. So I'm going to create on the layout grid. So I'm going to click on the plus icon here. I will change it from grid here to columns, right? And I'm going to give this like 12, so it's always used to use 12 count. Then the margin is going to be by the left and right. I love to use 88. Then the gutter, I love to use something like 20 because of course this is red, so I'm going to use something like 20 for the gutter. So what is the gutter? The gutter is the spacing between each of these layout grid. The margin here is this spacing here and this spacing here. So why are we giving it margin? We're giving it this particular margin so that it will help us to know what we are doing, so that we are not going to go overboard, right? So it's just like an alignment, right? So it's not part of our design. So now we have an amazing layout grid. So the first thing that we actually want to design is our nav bar. So let's quickly design our nav bar. So I will go ahead and I'll pick up my logo quickly. So I'll pick up my logo here. So this is my logo now. So this is an image, right? I just paste it here. This is an image, so you can actually use any logo of your choice. In fact, if you click on extension here and you click on plugin here, there is, and you can search for something called Logo Ipsium. This particular plugin here, Logo Ipsium. So once you click on it, you can actually use that to generate like several sample logos that you could also use in your design, right? So you see several sample logo here. Just feel free and play with it. So let me close this. So I have this now. So the next thing I want to design the menu. So I'll click here. So I'll type home, right? Remember we are using Urbanist font face. I'll change this to Urbanist Then I'll make this a little bit bigger, probably like 16, right? And I want this to be a little bit thick, so I'll say medium. So that's it here. So that's the font I'm using. So I will duplicate this now, right? So how do I duplicate it? Let me show you how. So once you click on it like this, you ensure that you are holding alternate. The moment you hold alternate, you see that two cursor appear. There is a white cursor underneath the black one. That is because I'm holding alternate on my keyboard. So I'll hold alternate and I'll click and drag. That's how I duplicated it. So another way you can duplicate it again, you select it and just say Control D. Right, if you Control D, you will see that it becomes 2 here. Let's Control Z. See, it's just 1. Selecting it, Control D, it becomes 2. That means that it has duplicated, but it's on top of it. So Control D is easier, then you cannot just drag it outside. So I've duplicated it. So I will hold Shift on my keyboard and select this to select both of them together. Right? How do you select both of them together? You click one, you hold Shift, and you can select both of them together, right? So holding Shift on your keyboard allows you to select 2 things or more together. So once we do that, we are going to add something that I don't have the leverage of time to actually fully teach on. It's called auto layout. So I'm going to apply auto layout to that, and I'm going to give it like probably a spacing of 50 each, which is good. So I'm going to Control D now, Control D to get the second one, and Control D to get the fourth one. So I have something like this. So I'm going to select this together right now, and I'm going to call this one female. So this is where they get female clothing. And I'm going to call this one male. This is where you see male clothing. And I'm going to call this one shop. This is where you see shop clothing, right? So I'm going to have that here. So this is going to be my menu. So if I click here now, it will help me to align it horizontally at the center. So this is now at the center, right? So the next thing I also want to do is to bring in some icons here. So I have like 2 icons that I actually want to bring in there. So I will come over here and I will click here and I'll click on plugins and I will search for Iconify. So Iconify. So this is it here. So Iconify will allow me to add like several icons to my design. And I'm looking for 2 icons. So I'm looking for cards. So I'm just going to type cards here. I'll click on search. So if I click on search, I should be able to see several cards images. So I think I like this particular one. It looks good. Mini card, blah, blah. I'll just click on import. If I click on imports, as you can see, it has imported it to the design, and that is it here, right? So I'll just constrain the proportion here so I can easily resize it to whatever thing I want. Then the next thing I'm looking for, I'm also looking for a user, right? So I'll say user. So I'm going to see a user here. So I'm going to pick any user that I like. And since I'm already using an outline card, so I'll try to maintain an outline user. So I think this one looks good to me. So I'm going to import this too as well, right? And you can see it's right here too as well. So I'll lock the constraint as well. So the next thing I'm looking for right now, I'm looking for a chevron, right? So I'm looking for a chevron. So chevron is like an angle arrows, that kind of thing. So something like this, that's what I'm looking for. So I'll click this and I would also import it, and I'm going to see my import somewhere around there. So I'll just drag it inside here, lock the proportion. All right, so I can close this now. So I have 3 icons, right? So the first icon is card. So I quickly want to work on this. So what I'm going to do to work on this is I'm going to click in here. I'm going to click on my ellipse tool. I'm going to draw something like this. I'm going to hold shift, so it's going to be full circle. Oops. Let me repeat that again. I'm going to click on circle here, drag and draw it, holding shift like this. And yeah, so probably not more than 18. So that looks good. Give it like a black or something, right? I'll click on my text now. I want to type like a 0 text there, right? So ensure that the color of my text is white, triple F is white. I drag it on top of this. All right, that's cool. The size is, I'll make it like 12. Then I'll select both this one together, and I'm going to Control G or right click on it, and I'm going to say group selection, right? So this is going to make it a group, as you guys can see here. So we can rename this particular group and call it count, right? So this shows number of counts. So I can select these 2 things together and try to align it at the middle, both of them. Then I can select my counts right now, so I can move my counts probably somewhere like this, right? As you guys can see, is inside this particular cards frame. So I can unclip this like this so that particular one can show. So I have my cards like this now. So now I have my cards. So this is my cards, right? So I can easily select my cards right now and can say, okay, my card should be somewhere around here, right? 24. So the same way too as well, I have this particular one here. I think this is good, but I want to draw a frame around it. So I'm going to draw a frame around it like this, holding shift. So my frame is going to be like a square. Then I'll give my frame a color, and probably like an F5, F5, F5 color, which is like gray color. And I want my frame to be like a square, so I'll give it like 32 or 40. Let's give it like, okay, let's give it like 32, 32, and 32, right? And this radius here will give something really big, like 20. So it's going to be circular in a way. So once we click on this icon here, you could see I'm clicking at the frame level. I can actually just centralize it just like this, so which is amazing. So I have this particular one here, right? So I can just say user. So I can put this here just to let them know that they can actually toggle up on and on this particular user. So I'll select both of them together, and I'll give it some auto layout. Ensure it's like this. This one is 0, and basically that's what I'm looking for. I'll bring it down here. So this is just telling anybody that they can actually click this, but we're not going to prototype it in this particular course. So I'm going to select both of them together like this now and again. Give it auto layout, ensure they are together, and give it some nice spacing. It could run up to 50 or so, doesn't really matter. What matter is that I have this somewhere around here, so I can actually just place it somewhere around here. And if we go back a little bit, you could see now that we have something that looks like our navbar, right? So to make this even way more better, we can actually just select this together, and select this together. So all three this time around, and we could just like centralize it something like this, ensure that they are at the center of each other. We could actually give this an auto layout and make it one. In fact, let's do that. So I will add auto layout to it right now. So if I add auto layout to it now, it's now one, as you guys can see. So I can double click it like this. So this will be auto, so it will be spread evenly. Then the next thing I could do, I could give it a padding top of 20, right? And this is a nice one. Now we could even increase the width and say let the width be 1440, which is the width of the entire design. Then now we could do this like this and put it at the top here. This time around now we could say let this padding left and right, remember it should be 88, so that it will just align somewhere around here, right? So we cannot give it any color of our choice, right? We give it white. So any color you give it, it just remains that particular color, as you guys can see. All right, so that's our navbar, and we can choose to just name this particular stuff our navbar. So we've designed the navbar, which, if you ask me, looks really pretty. So the next thing I want to design is something in design that is called breadcrumbs. So breadcrumbs is something that shows that like navigation history. So let's quickly do that. So I'll click on this, and I'll click on something called, I'll type home here. So I don't want it to be really big, so something like 12 is better, right? So I will say home, and I will duplicate this actually. Oops. And in this case, I want a /, so I'll just say /. So something like this is okay for me. So I'll select everything together, and I'll give it auto layout like this, and say let the spacing between it be like 12, so which is fine. So I'm going to click on this and duplicate it, and you could see home here now. I'll bring it to the next one, and this can be shop, right? Then this one now we'll duplicate it again, bring it down, right? Then this one now we can duplicate it again, bring it down again, so we have something like this, right? So this one here now could be let's say Nike sneakers, right? So let's say Nike sneakers, something like this. All right, perfect. So this looks really good. So now that we have this here, this is like our breadcrumb. So but the thing now is that this one, apart from Nike sneakers, this, so we want to make it grayish. So we'll come over here and just make it gray to show that they are not the main thing here. So we'll just faint it out. So all what we just design now, in design, this thing is called in design, let me ungroup this. So in design, this thing is called breadcrumbs, right? Breadcrumbs. So that's what they call it. All right, it just shows the navigation history, so we can actually just put that somewhere around here. All right, so the next thing now that we actually want to design right now is our image, right? Our slides. So let's quickly do that. So I'm going to use rectangle for that, and let's do something like that. So we're going to design something like this now, right? So I'm just going to hold it together, probably, so you could see that I'm using this like this. So this could be simply like this, right? So makes sense. This is like 69 by 69, which is good. So all I'm going to do now is hold this together and duplicate it, right? And I'll select both of them together. I can also give it auto layout, and I'll say let the spacing between them be like 40. So 40 looks like it's big, but it's okay. But let me see if we could actually have something. So let's make it like 24. Oops, sorry. All right, 24. Okay, so 24 spacing is nice. Then I could come over here. I'll say 3, 4, Control D to duplicate. So we have that there. So let's select another one. So this one now, we want something really big. Oops, not inside it. Let's do that again. Aha. So we could do something like this, right? So what we want to do now, we want to show that this thing is really big. So we look 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if we want to end it somewhere around here, right? So if we want to do it like this, we need this thing to be bigger, right? So let's try it now. So let's select all of this together like this. Instead of 69, 69, let's make it 100, right? So we'll say 100. All right, perfect. So now that we have 100, so we can actually do this now. So let's see again. So we don't want this to be more than it should, right? So so we'll just take this closer a little bit. I'll tap it forward once, tap it forward 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I want the spacing between it to be like just like 24, right? And of course, I don't want this to be more than half, to end somewhere around here. So why am I doing this? Because if you take a look at this now, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I want this to take exactly half of this whole thing. So I can select it together now, give it auto layout, and you can see that the spacing here is also 4. All right, 24. So that is it now. We've been able to design the image. So the next thing we want to design right now, we also want to design the name of the product and so on and so forth, so that we could actually just like have it in there. So for us to do that, right, so we are going to quickly design something, and this one now we are going to call it the header, right? So click on text here and we'll type it here, and let's call this one Nike. So this is the name of the sneakers, Nike Air Max 270. All right, for example. So we'll give it a big one like 32. So 32 seems great. Then I will put it here. So this is the name now. So now we want to create a star. So we'll come over here. We'll see some stars here, something like this. So you hold down your shift to draw an accurate star. You can actually just reduce it to like 16, not so big, right? And we could give it like a star color. Look for something like this. So I love to give it like small. Oops, that's too much. Something like that. Let's make this 20. Perfect. Right? So we could have our star there. So what I did was give it the border radius of 1. Without border radius, it to be sharp. So I don't want it to be sharp. I want it to be a little bit curvy there. So I just give it 1. And the star now is now 20. So we can now duplicate this as usual and select them together, add auto layout, and ensure that the spacing between them is not much, like 2 is okay, right? And select 1, 3, 4, 5, right? So let's do something like that. So this shows that this particular product has this number of stars, right? So the next thing we could do now is we want to able to show people that, okay, this particular product is in stock. So I'm going to click this and I'm going to type in stock, right? So let's reduce the font size of this to like 12, right? And we could actually give this an auto layout. So give it an auto layout, just hold on Shift A. So Shift A will automatically give it an auto layout so that we can now add a field to it. And in the fill, we could just choose some slightly gray background like this, so you'll be able to see something like this, right? So this could be like 4, and we could have some little margin here like 2 or so. Then this just shows that this particular product is in stock, and that we could have it somewhere like this. So now I could have this in stock and this particular star here, right? Or we could have star here and star here together. I always love to use auto layouts very well. So you could select them together, add auto layout to it, ensure that the spacing here is also like 8, right? And select this one together again with it again, add auto layout again, but this time around, put it down, so I will not select it like this. So I want it to be somewhere like this, right? So this looks really good. Double click it so it to be auto. Then we have our design looking like this. So basically, I can come over here and rename this. This can actually be my title, right? So this can actually be my title, right? So you could see now that we've designed that. So the next thing I actually want to design now is also design the size of the pricing, right? So let's go ahead and do that. So I'll click here now, and I would say let's say this thing is in dollars, for example. Let's say this is $160, and this size I want it to be really, really big. But before we make that big, let's bring this one here. Let's say this one is $202. Oops, $202. Then we'll select this here and click on this icon here. You should be able to strike through it like this, and you should be able to add some grayish tint to it too as well. Just make it faint, right? So this is no, this should be 160, right? 160 should be the one that is okay. No, 202, yeah, 160 is smaller. So let's make this one bigger now, like 64. That is times 2 that one. So that's the pricing here. So select them together, add auto layout too as well. So we could even say, okay, let it be at the bottom or so, but I think at the middle makes more sense. Give it a little bit of space between them, like 8. All right, so we can put it here now. All right, so that's the price. This shows that the price has reduced from $202 to $160. So the next thing I want to do right now is to click this and type in some description, right? So I'll just copy and paste a text that I have here so that I'll not spend so much time typing. Right, so this text now should be like so that's it here. It's like 14, and let me rearrange it to not be more than this. All right, cool. So I basically just pasted this here, and let's see how it goes. So so you can now type this, made with your favorite high end, blah blah blah, and the rest. So we have that going there. So the next thing that we'll also want to do right now is to also determine like different color, because sometimes you want to select like different color shade of whatever thing that you're working on. So let's quickly do that. So I will quickly select a simple gray button here, a frame here, and this is my frame here. In fact, let's call this particular one color variation, but let's just say color for short, right? So I'll give it a stroke, so it's going to look like this. So you see, it's just 1% stroke, and it's a frame, not a rectangle. You could see the reason I'm using a frame is because I want to draw a rectangle inside this. So I'll click here, I'll try to draw a rectangle in it now. So I'll put in a rectangle here, something like this, right? So it's smaller rectangle, and align it. So want it somewhere like this. So let's give it, so this is 28 by 28, which is good. Right, so I actually want to make it smaller, but let's see. I want it to be not up to 28. Let it be like 20 by 20, and this one now let it be like 24. All right, perfect. So with this now, let's see if we can bring this to the middle. So we can bring it to the middle like this. Then this stroke, instead of inside, we can even say let it be outside. So inside will be in it a little bit. So let's just say let it be outside. So this shows that it is being selected, right? So we could have like a gray one here. So that's our color, right? You could see. So let's have like several colors. So I'll Control D to duplicate it. So I have the two of them here. So I'll select them together like this. If I add auto layout to it now, I could change the direction of the auto layout. Then I'll give it some space, like 8 for example, which is good. So let me call this my colors, right? So now I could duplicate this like up to 3, 4, 5. Okay, 5 is good. Then all of these 4, actually don't want the background to be this thick. So something just grayish like this will not be a bad idea. And probably this should be like 0.5, very tiny, not really thick. All right, cool. This shows that this particular one is the active one. Basically, that's what it just simply means, right? So so let's leave this one at let's give this a bright color. Aha. Okay, that color is really thick. Okay, something like this. All right, that's the color of the sneakers, right? All right, cool. So we could say, okay, there are other colors. For example, this one now could be a greenish look, but it's not selected. This one now could be, so I'm looking for other colors, a bluish color. This could be like a black. So let's just put 00 there. And let's look for something yellowish. Here, oops, too yellow. All right, cool. Something like this. All right, cool. All right, this is me just picking any color at random. So we have our color variation right now. So I could select this right now and type colors, right? So I could just type color like this, so which is good. And I could make this like a 16 text, and I could select it together and add auto layout and ensure it's by the side here, and also put in something like this. So so I have my color looking at me really good. So I think 12 is too big. Let's make it 8. All right, cool. So the next thing I also want to do now is quantity, right? So they could actually select quantity. So something similar here. Remember, this stuff is like 24. So something similar. So I'm going to do this here too as well. 24. I'm going to select like 24 here as well. And so let's make it like 24 by 24. This is a frame. So but this frame, we're going to give it a fill. And let's say the fill now is F5, F5, F5. So fill is like the background basically. So I'm going to type in a text in it. So normally I would use icon for this, but I just want to save myself time. I'm just going to use the normal minus, but in real life, please use an icon, right? So, but I don't actually want to use an icon, right? So let's just have an eye. We can actually increase the font, blah, blah, 32, 24, doesn't really matter. But the most important thing is that let's put this at the middle, right? So we have this minus here. Let's do the same thing too as well. So instead of minus, let's have a plus. All right. So that is me using, instead of an icon, right? The ideal thing, the most correct thing to do here is to use an icon, right? But I'm quite lazy now to start looking for icons. So let's type another text here now. So what I love to do in this case is actually duplicate this again. And in this case, this one is going to be just like 1, right? So let's reduce this to like 16. All right, cool. And this should give us like a gray 575757. This should give us like grayish feel kind of 1. So with this now, we could centralize it at the middle here and say, okay, this is the 1. But this now, I don't actually want it to have a field, so I'll take the field off. So now I can select this and this and this together, give it auto layout like this, so they're going to be just exactly at the middle. I can now say that I don't even want it to have a space, right? Or I could choose to just give it a simple space like this. So this shows now that we have something that more or less look like quantity. So this is 1, 2, 3. So I actually want this to start at the 3rd place here. So something similar here. So I'll just duplicate this particular text, bring it here right now. But in this case, this is going to be quantity. So I'll just use QTY for short. Then we could actually like also lay out these two things together once they're selected. And remember the spacing that we give it is 8. So something like this. So this will be our QTY, and this is our what? Our colors, right? Our colors. All right, perfect. Right. So once you see this together and you see this together, you could see now that we can actually align them to ensure that they are equal like that. So the next thing that we want to do is to quickly create a button, right? So for us to create a button, I will just type in a text here, and I will call this particular text, I will say buy now, right? So let's say buy now. All right, so that's my button text there, right? So I'll quickly do that. So the first thing I want to do to create a button is actually add an auto layout. So if I click here now, I would just shift A. Remember, shift A to add auto layout so that you can be able to add a fill here, and the fill is white. So I would give it this color. So this color now is like an orange color. So give it this color F24810. All right, that's the color there. Then instead of this black, I'll change it to white. So my button text is going to be white, of course. I think that's cool. And I want this button to stretch all the way from here to here. All right, cool. So this is my button, and I love it, right? So just like that. So that's what you're going to click to buy now. So I can even just reduce this or make it a little bit bold, right? So I'll duplicate my button again. So I want another button here too as well. But this particular button this time around, I want it to be add to carts, right? So I have this here, but in this case, I don't want it to have a fill. I want it to be an outline button, so a stroke will do me better. Then the text here too as well. So let's change that one to some sort of black. So we have our button here too as well. So this is the add to cart button, right? And this is it here, right? So as you guys can see, that is it, guys. We are done. So all we just need to do now is to add image. So once we add image here, we are practically done with the design. So but before we do that, I want to click here and I want to hide this layout a little bit. And this is what we've designed, guys. So just straightforward, really easy. We've been able to design the hero page of this particular product section, right? So I will go ahead and just quickly design and look for stuff. So what you want to do next is look for where you have image and go and download any Nike image that you see on the internet. So me, I've downloaded some, so I'll just copy it. So once I click on this, Ctrl V, and so on and so forth, I should be able to add several images. So let's see how we can add image to this. So you click on this particular icon here, click on place image or video. So this will take you to your laptop right now. So I have downloaded some of the images that I used here. So I'm just going to like select it. So I'm going to click this, click this, click this, click this. These are like the 4 images. So I'm going to click on open. I use shift to click everything. So once I click on open, all the image will be on my cursor right now, asking me where to drop them. So this one, I want to drop it here. This one, I want to drop it here. This one, I want to drop it here as the first one, and this one, I want to drop it here. So I'll go again and see if I can pick some image again. So I want to pick the main image, which is this one, only this one now. Copy it, then this one, I want to drop it here. And that is it, guys. We've actually placed our image and we've designed this amazing looking hero section. So let's assume now that I want to post this on social media to let people know that, hey, look, I've done an amazing design. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to click here and I'm going to scroll down. You're going to see export, right? So I'm going to click on export and I'm going to see PNG image here. So I'm just going to click on export it here and it's going to export it. See, it has exported it for me. So I'm going to go to where it has exported it for me in my system. So this is it here. Control C it. I will come back and I will paste it here right now. Say, no worry, allow, block. So I'll paste it here, right? So you could see now that I have this. Now this is an image of my design. So let's say I want to post it on social media now. So I can just click on this frame, draw a simple frame. Social media like Instagram is usually 1000 by 1000 by 1000, so something like this, right? So I could give this like a F5 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 background, so that once I bring in my image inside it, right? Let me close this. So this is an image, so I can bring my image inside this right now, and I'll just reduce this a little bit, right? I can actually even give it a rounded edge of, oh, it's too much. Let's say 20. All right, 20 looks good. All right, perfect. So this is it here. And I can actually just post this, right? Then I will now call this one posts. Right, so this is my post. Just to let people know, I can choose to add some effect to it, like a shadow. Let's do that. So I would give this like a very big shadow now. So let's say like 50 and see how 50 is big, right? So let's give this one also like 52 as well. Ah, this is amazing. Then now this our blur, I'll give it like 100. Now it's be blur like this. Then this one now I can reduce it to like, let's say 10. All right, perfect. So the shadow is a very light shadow. So now I can now actually like post this, right? So this is what I'm going to post on social media and say, hey, look, I just quickly designed this. So this is what you should actually design and you can post, right? So this is like a simple mock-up I just did for you guys quickly, so you see how you can easily like design something and you can actually just like mock it up a little bit and post it out there on social media. So I'm going to click on this and I'm going to export this too as well, and I'll export it. So once I click on export, you could see post export. If I click here, you could see it now like this. So I'm going to send this to my phone or whatsoever thing, and I'm going to share it on social media or anywhere on my Dribble or so on and so forth, right? Easily. So that is it, guys, about UI design. So don't forget, this is an introductory course to UI UX design. And in the UX part, I just basically showed you guys so many things that we've done even before I recorded this video. And in this particular video, I focus on designing just the hero section of this, right? So this tells you that it is not so much of an easy work, but don't worry. Even if this particular video seems a little bit fast-paced, and that is because I just want to quickly achieve something, right, without wasting so much of a time. So take your time, go through it. If you want to learn it and you want something probably on a slower mode, something more in-depth, something that will cover every nook and cranny, and you want to like advance more in UI UX design, I would advise you to enroll for the Nerdy Eye 6 months UI UX design bootcamp, right? If you enroll for that, you should be able to learn everything from design system to case study to portfolio to every single damn thing one after the other. And that is why the course is a 6 months intensive training online bootcamp with mentorship to ensure that you learn all of these things. And anytime that you are confused, you can easily book a one-on-one call with your instructor. That being said, I wait to see what you guys are going to do. Do your video, make this particular post, tag me some online news, tag Nerdy Eye to it as well on Instagram or on Twitter or anywhere you're going to post it, so that I can actually retweet or repost it as well. That being said, I'll wait to see you guys in the next video. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, turn on the post notification so that you don't get to miss out on subsequent upload. Peace out, guys.